The sudden invitation. Jax was not expecting the message. He was just finishing his shift at the colony repair station when his comm tablet blinked. The message came from someone he had never spoken to before. Mira Thea, the mother of his alien friend Zura. The message was short. Human Jax, I request your presence at my home. Come alone. Mira Thea. Jax stared at the screen. Zura had never spoken much about her mother. In fact, most people from her species rarely mentioned family. It was considered private, almost sacred. So why would Mira Thea, someone he had never met, suddenly invite him? He showed the message to Zura during their evening walk through the marketplace. Zura stopped walking. Her eyes widened. She contacted you? Yes. Is that bad? Jax asked, nervous. Zura looked away. No, but strange. Very strange. My mother doesn't talk to outsiders, not even to my teachers. She's very traditional, very proud. So what does she want from me? I don't know, Zura said softly. But if she's asking for you, it means something important. Please go, but be respectful. Do not refuse her. The next day, Jax followed the directions Mira Thea had sent. Her home was far from the main colony buildings. He took a hover bike into the dense jungle hills where the air grew thick and the trees blocked the sunlight. The alien houses here were different, grown from living trees shaped by alien hands. Mira Thea's home was beautiful but strange. Vines curled around the walls and glowing plants lit the path to her door. Jax knocked. A moment later, the door opened. A tall alien woman stood there. She was elegant, with long purple robes and markings on her face that shimmered slightly. Her eyes were calm but sharp, studying him with quiet intensity. You came? She said. Her voice was low, musical, and full of something he couldn't read. Curiosity? Suspicion? Hope? Yes, ma'am, Jax said politely. I'm Jax. You messaged me. I know who you are, she replied. Come inside. The inside of her home was quiet, too quiet. The walls were made of smooth living wood. Strange glowing stones hovered near the ceiling like floating lamps. There was a scent of herbs in the air, sweet and warm. Please sit, Mira Thea said, motioning to a round cushion on the floor. She sat across from him. For a long time, she said nothing, just watched him. Finally, she spoke. Do you know why I called you here? Jax shook his head. No, I don't. I have watched you from afar, she said. I have listened to what my daughter says about you. You are unusual. Jax blinked. Unusual? You treat our people as equals. You listen. You do not fear us. And yet, you are still human, curious, brave, foolish. He didn't know what to say. Is that not good or bad? Mira Thea gave the tiniest smile. Both. She stood up and walked to a shelf. She picked up a small object, a glowing crystal in a metal frame. It pulsed softly. I need your help, she said, turning back to him, with something very private, very delicate. Jax leaned forward slightly. What kind of help? But she didn't answer. Instead, she asked, Do you trust my daughter? Yes, Jax replied without hesitation. Zura is my friend. Would you help her family? Yes, I think I would. Mira Thea's eyes narrowed. Even if it may hurt you? Jax froze. That was not the kind of question he expected. He took a deep breath. If it's important, then yes. The alien mother nodded slowly. Good. She stood again. This time she motioned for him to follow her. They walked through a narrow hallway. The further they went, the darker it became. Glowing symbols appeared on the walls. Alien language he didn't understand. Then they reached a heavy door made of living wood. It had no handle. From behind the door, Jax heard something. Breathing. slow, shallow. "What's in there?" whispered Mirathea. Looked at him. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were cold. "Not what? Who?" Jax felt his heart beat faster. She stepped closer and said in a soft but firm voice, "There is someone inside this room who is connected to you, human Jax. Someone whose future may depend on your choice." And with that, she placed her hand on the door. It slowly opened. Jax took a step forward, and the world changed. Jax stood at the edge of the open doorway, unsure if he should step in. Inside the dim room, the air felt heavy, like it hadn't moved in a long time. The glowing light from the hallway barely touched the floor inside. But Jax could see someone sitting in the shadows, still, silent, breathing. It was a child, or at least, it looked like one. But something about her was off. She had the tall ears of Zura's species, and her skin was a smooth silver gray. But her eyes, those were human, brown, round, and wide. They stared at Jax with something he couldn't name. Not fear, not curiosity. Something deeper, something ancient. Jax turned to Mirathea. "Who is she?" Mirathea didn't answer at first. She walked into the room slowly, kneeling near the child. The girl didn't move. "She's part of our family," Mirathea said softly. "And part of yours." Jax froze. "Mine?" "Yes," she said. "Your blood runs through her, your DNA." Jax blinked. "That's not possible. I've never—" "How could that be?" The child tilted her head slowly, her eyes never leaving Jax's face. Zura appeared in the doorway behind them. Her voice was trembling. "Jax, there's something we never told you." They all sat in the small room. The child sat on a mat, silent. Zura sat beside Jax, her hands in her lap, unsure how to begin. "We didn't steal anything," she started. "Not us. Years ago, when you were injured during the shuttle crash, you were treated at a medical center near our region. They took your blood, said it was for healing purposes." Mirathea continued. "But someone else used it. A group of geneticists from our old science circle. They were experimenting, trying to create a hybrid child, one who could survive both on our planet and yours. They never told anyone," Zura said. "It was illegal, dangerous, but they made her anyway." Jax looked at the child. She still hadn't said a word. "She's part human," he whispered. "Yes," Mirathea replied. "And now, she's dying." Jax felt cold. "What do you mean, dying?" "She's incomplete," Mirathea said. "She was grown in a lab. She has never seen the world, never felt it. Her body is breaking down. Her mind is slipping away. She doesn't respond to us anymore," Zura added. "Not even to food or voices, but then one day." Mirathea showed her your image, a picture, and she blinked. She reached out for it. "She's connected to you, Jax," Mirathea said. "By blood, and by something else." Jax looked at the child again. This time her hand twitched. Only once, but it was enough. She was listening. "What do you want from me?" he asked. Mirathea spoke gently. "Not to fix her, not to heal her. Just to try, to reach her, talk to her, let her see you, smell your presence, hear your voice. And if I do?" he asked. "She may wake up," Mirathea said. "She may live, or she may not." Zura looked away. "She might die anyway, but this is her only chance." Jax stood up. His legs felt heavy. He stepped slowly toward the child and knelt. She didn't flinch. "Hey," he whispered. "I don't know your name, I don't know what they told you, but I think we're connected somehow." The girl blinked. "You don't have to say anything. Just listen." He told her about Earth, about blue skies and old music, about the way the wind felt when it touched your face, about dogs, about snow, about laughter. Her eyes followed his lips. She didn't move, but Jax saw something. Her fingers curled slightly like she was trying to hold on to his words. "She hears you," Mirathea whispered behind him. No one else can reach her like this. An hour passed. Then another. Jax sat there speaking softly, sharing simple memories. He didn't know why. It just felt right. Finally, as he stood to leave, the child made a sound. A soft, broken whisper. Stay. Jax turned sharply. What did she say? Mirathea stepped forward, heart racing. She spoke. Zura gasped. She's never spoken before, not once. Jax turned to the child again. You want me to stay? She blinked once. Slowly. Her eyes, so human yet not, were now wet with tears. And in that moment, Jax realized something that sent chills down his spine. This child didn't just recognize him, she needed him. The house grew quiet after the child's whisper. Jax sat frozen beside her, heart pounding in his chest. Her voice was soft and broken, but clear. One word. Stay. It echoed in his mind like thunder. Mirathea didn't speak. Even Zura seemed shocked. The air felt heavy, as if the house itself had stopped breathing. She spoke. Zura finally whispered. She's never said a word. Not in years. Jax slowly reached out his hand, placing it gently on the child's. Her skin was cold, almost too smooth, but she didn't pull away. He looked up at Mirathea. She responded to me, but why me? The alien mother didn't answer right away. She walked toward the far corner of the room and pressed her palm to the wall. A small door, hidden until now, slowly slid open with a soft hum. Jax stood up. Another room? Mirathea's voice was calm. There is more you must see. More that was hidden from you, and even from Zura. Zura stepped forward. What are you talking about, Mother? Mirathea looked back. Her eyes were serious but not cruel. Your father was one of them. The scientists. The hidden room was dark, lit only by floating crystals that hummed with low energy. Inside were strange machines, glowing tanks, and shelves filled with data tablets. Jax stepped inside slowly. His boots echoed on the smooth stone floor. This is a lab, he said quietly. Yes, Mirathea replied. It was shut down years ago, but I kept everything. Every test, every recording. You deserve to know the truth. She walked to a terminal and touched the screen. A hologram flickered, to life. Jax saw himself, lying in a medical bed years ago, tubes in his arm, a younger version of himself, barely alive. That's when your blood was taken, she said. They said it was for your recovery, but it was a lie. Zura covered her mouth in shock. You kept all this, even from me? I had to, Mirathea replied. You were too young, too emotional. You would have tried to stop them. Jax stepped closer to the screen. Images changed. He saw a glass tube, a tank, with something floating inside. A small form, not fully shaped. Half human, half alien. The child. They called her Project Starlink, Mirathea said. The idea was to blend the strength of your kind with the adaptability of ours. A perfect bridge between worlds. But it failed, Jax said quietly. Yes. Every other subject died. She was the only one who lived. Barely. Mirathea turned to him. But now, she's waking. Because of you. Jax swallowed hard. You want me to stay with her forever? No, she said gently. But she needs you to survive. Your presence, your voice, your memories. They give her stability. She was made from you. Your essence is in her mind. Zura walked to a dusty crate in the corner. Inside were drawings, childlike sketches done with shaky hands. She pulled one out and gasped. Jax, she said, handing it to him. It was a picture of him. Crude, rough lines, but unmistakable. A tall human with brown eyes. The same shirt he was wearing the first day he met Zura. She's never seen me before, he whispered. Not in person. But she drew me? Mirathea nodded. Somewhere inside her she remembers your face. Your presence has been calling to her since the day she was created. Suddenly an alarm rang through the lab. Red lights flashed. Mirathea's expression turned hard. They found us. Who? Jax asked. The authorities. The Science Council, she replied quickly. They never forgave me for hiding her. They'll take her, erase everything. Zura grabbed Jax's arm. We have to protect her. Jax turned back to the child's room. She was standing now, weak on her feet, eyes wide, staring toward the hallway. Are you going to leave me? She asked in a trembling voice. Jax stepped toward her. No, never. The house trembled. Outside, heavy boots hit the ground. Time was running out. Jax looked at Mirathea. What do we do? She opened a hidden panel behind the lab, an escape tunnel. Take her. Run. I'll stay behind and slow them down. Zura's voice broke. Mother, no time! Mirathea snapped. Protect your sister. Protect his daughter. Jax looked down at the girl. His daughter? In her soft voice, the child said, I'm ready. Jax lifted her into his arms. She was light, warmer now, breathing faster. As he ran into the tunnel with Zura close behind, the door slammed shut behind them. The girl's small hand gripped his shirt. Thank you for coming, she whispered. Jax didn't know what would happen next. But one thing was clear now. He wasn't just part of this story. He was the story. Jax ran. The escape tunnel was narrow and dark, lit only by the faint blue glow of the girl's eyes. He carried her in his arms, her breathing light but steady. Zura followed close behind, her steps quick, eyes darting for danger. Behind them, distant sounds echoed, the heavy boots of armored guards breaking into the house, shouts in a language Jax didn't understand. And then, silence. Mirathea was gone. She had stayed behind, to protect them, to protect her. After nearly an hour of moving through tunnels and dense forest, they reached a hidden cave. It was small, dry, and safe, for now Jax laid the child down gently on a soft patch of moss. Zura knelt beside her, placing a hand on the girl's forehead. She's burning up, Zura said, panic in her voice. The stress, the movement, her body isn't strong enough for this. Jax felt helpless. There's no one who can help her? Zura shook her head. Not anyone we can trust. Jax looked at the girl again. Her alien features were soft. Her skin shimmered faintly like silver mist. But her face, it was familiar. Too familiar. The shape of her nose, the curve of her mouth, she looked like him, a younger version, with slight alien traits. But still, undeniably human. Zura, he said quietly. She is mine, isn't she? Zura's eyes filled with tears. Yes, you didn't know. And you never agreed to it, but yes, she was made from your DNA. You're her biological father. Jax's mind swirled with emotions, shock, anger, confusion, but also something else. A pull, a strange warmth in his chest. He looked at the girl. She opened her eyes slowly. You're still here, she whispered. I told you I wouldn't leave. He said gently, and I won't. She smiled, just a little. I like your voice. Hours passed. They took turns watching her, feeding her small sips of water, keeping her warm. Zura used old healing patches from her travel kit, but they didn't do much. The child, whom they now called Raya, was fading. She needs more than medicine, Zura said at last. She needs connection. Jax nodded. Then I'll give it to her. He lay beside Raya and took her hand. Her small fingers were cold, but they didn't pull away. He began to speak. About Earth, about rain falling on rooftops, about stories from old books, about what it meant to be human, and how sometimes being human wasn't about where you were born. It was about who you chose to care for. Raya listened, and little by little she began to glow. Zura watched in amazement as Raya's eyes became brighter, her voice a little stronger. She began to ask questions. What's a dog? What is snow? What does it feel like to laugh? Jax answered them all with a smile. But inside he knew this wasn't normal. Something was changing in her. Fast, too fast. One evening, as the wind howled outside the cave, Raya sat up on her own for the first time. I saw you before, she said, looking at Jax. In a dream? No. In the tank. When I was asleep. I saw you through the glass. I didn't know what you were, but I felt safe. Jax swallowed hard. I'm sorry they made you that way. I'm not, she said, because now I have you. She crawled into his arms and rested her head on his chest. Zura turned away, wiping tears from her eyes, but that peace didn't last. The next morning, a small drone hovered near the cave entrance. A red light blinked on its front. Tracker, Zura shouted. Jax grabbed Raya and ran. The drone exploded behind them. They didn't stop running until they reached an abandoned outpost near the mountain pass. Inside were old supplies, power cells, and broken machines. Zura got the door locked and activated a shield. We bought some time, she said. But not much. They're coming. Jax held Raya tighter. She looked tired again. Pale. But when she looked at him, she smiled. Even if I disappear, she whispered. Thank you for finding me. You're not going anywhere, Jax said. Not if I can help it. Zura looked at them and nodded slowly. There's one last thing, she said. My mother, she built something. A way to transfer part of your energy to Raya, like a jump start for her mind and body. But it's risky. Jax didn't hesitate. Do it. They placed Raya in a soft pod surrounded by glowing crystals. Jax stood at the center, his hand resting on a metal platform. Zura began the process. Lights filled the room. Energy moved from Jax to Raya. Not just power, but memory, emotion, love. Jax saw flashes, Raya's dreams, her lonely nights, her fear of dying without ever being held. She saw his life too, his laughter, his pain, his childhood. They were connected. When the lights faded, both of them collapsed. But when Raya opened her eyes again, clear, glowing, and steady, she whispered a single word. Dad. Raya's voice was soft, but it hit Jax like thunder. Dad. He blinked, unsure if he had heard it right. His heart felt tight in his chest. Zura gasped. She called you. I heard, Jax whispered, his voice trembling. He looked down, at the small half-alien girl lying in his arms. Her eyes were steady now, bright, alive. You're awake, he said. I saw everything, Raya whispered. Your memories, your feelings, your kindness. She smiled. I'm not afraid anymore. Jax couldn't speak. He simply held her close. Zura stood nearby, watching with tears in her eyes. For the first time, Raya didn't look like a broken experiment. She looked like a real child, a girl with a soul, a girl with a family. That moment didn't last long. Sharp alarm echoed through the old outpost. Zura checked the console. No, she breathed. They've tracked us again. How many? Jax asked. Too many, she replied. At least 3 hunter ships. They'll surround this place in minutes. Jax looked at Raya. She was sitting up now, but still. Weak. She can't run, Zura said. And we can't fight them. Jax stood. Then we need help. From who? Zura asked. No one is going to help a hybrid child. They'll either take her or destroy her. There's one place, Jax said, thinking quickly. Earth. Zura blinked. Earth? That's across systems. I know someone on an old diplomatic ship, Captain Halvers. He owes me a favor. Jax ran to the comm station and sent a coded message, just a few words. Need extraction. One child, urgent, coordinates attached. Code 7. Then he turned to Zura. We hold them here. Just long enough for him to get here. Zura looked worried, but she nodded. Let's give her a chance. An hour later, the sky darkened. Black ships hovered above the outpost, their engines humming like angry wasps. Bright searchlights scanned the ground. From a loudspeaker, a cold voice echoed through the valley. "Return the unauthorized subject. No harm will come to you. Resistance will lead to elimination." Jax looked at Raya. "You ready?" he asked. She nodded. "I trust you, Dad." Those words gave him strength. The attack began. Zura set up an energy shield around the outpost while Jax placed smoke bombs and traps at every entrance. The first wave hit hard, metal soldiers crashing through the outer gate. Zura blasted one with a shock rifle, sending sparks flying. Jax threw a fire charge into the crowd and pulled Raya behind cover. She was scared, but not frozen. "Can I help?" she asked. "You already are," Jax said, squeezing her hand. Then, just as their shield began to flicker, a sound filled the air, loud, heavy, familiar. A human warship appeared through the clouds, black, massive, with glowing blue lights on its underbelly. Captain Halvers had arrived. The alien attackers paused, confused. Then the warship fired. A blast of sonic energy knocked out the enemy ship's systems. Their lights died. Their engines failed. In seconds, the hunters fell from the sky like broken toys. Zura ran to the roof and fired a green flare. A shuttle dropped from the warship, speeding toward them. Inside, Halvers greeted Jax with a tired smile. "You always find trouble, don't you?" he said. Jax laughed once. "This time it found me." They boarded quickly. Halvers looked at Raya. "She's the one?" "Yes," Jax said. "She's my daughter." Halvers stared for a second, then nodded. "Then she's under Earth protection, now." As the shuttle took off, Zura looked down at the burning outpost. The planet they once called home had turned its back on them. But Raya, she had survived. And she had someone now. Someone who chose her. Hours later on the ship, Jax sat in the med bay with Raya sleeping on his shoulder. Her breathing was calm, peaceful. Zura walked in, holding a small glowing cube. "What's that?" Jax asked. "A memory cube," she said. "My mother left it in the lab. I think she wanted you to see it." Jax took it, and the cube activated. Mirathia's image appeared. A hologram. "If you're seeing this," she began, "then my daughter lives. And the child lives, that's all I ever wanted." Her voice softened. "You may not forgive me, Jax, but I ask only one thing. Give her a life, a real one. One not made in tanks and secrets, but in days, in moments, in love." The message ended. Jax closed his eyes. "I will," he whispered. "I swear." Raya opened her eyes slowly. For the first time, she didn't feel like a broken machine. She felt warm, held, real. The soft bed on the Earthship didn't smell like chemicals or dust. It smelled like comfort. And the arms around her, then they were strong, human, and safe. "Dad?" she whispered. Jax looked down at her with a tired smile. "I'm here." She touched his face with her small hand. "Your skin feels different now. Not cold, not far away." Jax chuckled. "That's because you're not in a glass tank anymore." "No," she whispered. "I'm home." In the next room, Zura watched from behind a glass panel. The Earth medics had finished their scans. They were amazed by Raya's condition. Her cells were healing, her mind was forming new links, her energy patterns were stabilizing. "She shouldn't even be alive," one human doctor said. "But somehow she's getting stronger by the hour." Another doctor replied, "It's the bond. He's more than her genetic father. His presence is rewiring her system." Zura didn't say a word. She just smiled. Jax helped Raya out of bed and walked her down the ship's observation deck. She moved slowly but with wonder in her eyes. Her small fingers touched the glass windows where stars floated endlessly outside. "Are we in space?" she asked. "Yes," Jax said. "That's the galaxy. All of it." Her eyes widened. Is it dangerous? Sometimes, he admitted. But it's also beautiful, just like you. Raya turned and looked at him, confused. Beautiful? It means special. Something that makes the heart feel full. Oh, she said, quietly. Then I think you're beautiful too. Jax blinked, then laughed. You're getting good at this. I'm learning, she said. From you. Later that day, Jax was called to the command deck. Captain Halvor stood by the star map. His face was serious. We got a message, he said. From the Interplanetary Science Council. They know about Raya. Jax stiffened. What do they want? They want her returned. Claimed she's property of science. They even sent documents. She's not property, Jax said through clenched teeth. She's a child. I agree, Halvor said. Which is why I haven't answered yet. Jax looked at the star map. Earth was still days away. She deserves to live freely. Not in a lab. Not locked away. Halvor's nodded. Then we better prepare. Because they won't just ask twice. That night, Zura sat with Raya in the quiet ship lounge. Raya looked up at her. Are you my sister? Zura smiled softly. In a way. Maybe not by blood, but yes, I'd like to be. Raya tilted her head. Then can I call you Z? Zura laughed. Only if I can call you Ray. They both giggled. It was a small sound, but powerful. It wasn't the sound of science. It was the sound of family. Jax watched them from the hallway. His heart felt heavy and full at the same time. He thought of Earth, of a little house somewhere, a place where Raya could go to school, laugh with friends, play in the grass, draw silly pictures, a real life. That's what he wanted for her. But first, he had to protect her from the ones who saw her as an experiment. The next morning, the alarm went off again. A ship had appeared, dark, sleek, and fast. Not a warship, a collector-class vessel designed to retrieve or extract. They're here for her, Halvor said grimly. The council had arrived. A message came through the screen. Return the hybrid. You are holding unauthorized biological property. This is your final warning. Jax stood in front of the screen. No. There was silence. Then, so be it. The collector ship launched a drone team toward their ship. Small, fast, and armed with stun weapons and neural links, tools meant for capturing, not killing. Jax turned to Zura. Get her to the medbay. Lock it down. I'm not leaving you, Zura said. I need you both alive, he replied. Zura hesitated, then ran with Raya in her arms. Jax suited up. For the first time in his life, he wasn't fighting for survival. He was fighting for his daughter's future. The drones entered through the outer deck. Jax stood ready, using the training he'd picked up from years around mercs and station guards. He blasted 2 drones with a stun pulse, then knocked a third into the wall with a shock rod. Zura sealed the medbay and activated a personal shield around Raya. Inside the glowing field, Raya sat quietly, eyes closed, hands glowing faintly. She's doing something, Zura whispered. Raya's lips moved. I'm calling him. Who? Zura asked. My dad. On the deck, Jax was thrown to the floor by a blast. His vision blurred. One drone hovered over him, preparing a neural dart. And then, it stopped. Its lights dimmed. Its circuits fried. More drones began to fall. Halvor shouted, something's interfering with their systems. Down in the medbay, Raya opened her eyes. They glowed with silver light. I won't let them take him, she said softly. Energy pulsed from her hands. Quiet, but massive. It flowed through the ship's systems like electricity. The drones shut down one by one. The collector ship turned away and fled. Silence returned. Jax was helped up. Halvors looked stunned. What just happened? Zura walked in with Raya holding her hand. Jax saw her and dropped to one knee. You saved us, he said. Raya smiled shyly. You saved me first. The stars drifted quietly outside the ship as if nothing had happened. As if a little girl hadn't just stopped a team of drones with a wave of her hand. As if the galaxy wasn't watching her now, curious, nervous, and maybe even afraid. Inside the medbay, Raya sat on the floor, legs crossed, holding a small drawing in her hand. It was simple, stick figures of her, Jax and Zura. They were standing under something that looked like a sun, smiling. Is this what Earth looks like? She asked. Jax knelt beside her. Not exactly, but I think your version is better. Raya tilted her head. Will I get to go there someday? Jax smiled. Not someday. Soon. We're almost there. She looked up at him with wide eyes. Really? He nodded. You'll see real clouds, blue sky, trees, food you've never tasted, and a room of your own. Raya blinked. My own room? Yes, Zura said, walking in with a blanket, with a soft bed and books and paint, and warm clothes that don't smell like medical sheets. Raya hugged the blanket tightly. That night she didn't ask for another bedtime story. She simply fell asleep in Jax's arms, but peace never stays long. The next day, the ship received another transmission, this time encrypted. Captain Halvers looked uneasy as he handed Jax the decoded message. This one isn't from the Science Council, he said. It's from Earth. Jax read it quickly. Warning, high-level diplomatic pressure underway. Request immediate return of the hybrid child for political review. Potential risk of detainment. Trust no council agents. Some Earth officials compromised. Suggest going dark. Use Protocol 77. A friend. Zura frowned. They're trying to take her again? Jax clenched his fists. Even Earth can't be trusted anymore. Halvers sighed. You have a choice to make, Jax. If you land in the open, she might be taken again. This time under laws and silence. Or what? Jax asked. There's another way. Off-grid. Underground. Hidden. Life, but free life. She'll never go to school. But she'll never be in a cage either. That night, Jax sat with Raya in the viewing room. The stars drifted by slowly. Ray, he said softly, if I gave you a choice between being known by the galaxy or being free but hidden, what would you choose? Raya didn't answer right away. Then she said, What do you want? He blinked. Why does that matter? Because, she said, putting her hand over his, I don't want to be famous or important. I just want to be with you. Silence. Then she added something softer, something that melted his heart. You're the only real thing I have, Jax. Stared out the window for a long time. He remembered being alone. As a kid, no parents. Growing up with no one who stayed. He had promised himself never to be like them. And now, he had a daughter. One not born the usual way, not raised by love, but created in a lab and abandoned by science. She didn't ask to be a symbol. She only asked for one thing. Him. By morning, the decision was made. They would disappear. Halvers gave them everything. He could. Supplies, IDs, a stealth pod, and new identities. You sure about this? He asked Jax. Jax nodded. It's not the easy life, but it's the right one. Zura stood beside them. We'll find a quiet moon, one with sun, forests, and no eyes in the sky. Raya smiled. Can I name our house? Of course, Jax said. Then I'll call it Starlight because it saved me. 3 weeks later, on a small green moon with no cities and no laws, a wooden cabin stood near a river. Solar panels hummed on the roof. A small swing hung from a tree. Inside, Zura cooked while humming a tune from her childhood. Jax sat on the porch fixing an old radio. And Raya. She was running through the grass barefoot, laughing. No drones, no labs, no cages, just a girl living her life. One evening, as fireflies danced above the water, Raya climbed into Jax's lap. I was thinking, she said. About what? About why I was made. They said I was created to be a bridge between worlds, a science thing. Jax nodded slowly. That's what they said. But I think they were wrong. He raised an eyebrow. Oh? She looked into his eyes. I wasn't made to fix the galaxy. I was made to find you. Jax couldn't answer. He just held her tight. Years later, the galaxy moved on. The hybrid child was forgotten. The Science Council lost interest. Another war began. New scandals filled the data waves. But on a quiet moon far from the noise, a teenage girl named Raya walked with her father to the riverbank. She now had Zura's markings on her cheeks and Jax's stubborn smile. They sat under the stars, silent for a moment. Then she asked, "Do you ever regret hiding?" Jax shook his head. Never. Even if I could have been something bigger? He smiled. You are something big. To me, you're everything. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I still call this place Starlight, she said. I still think you saved me. Somewhere, deep in a council vault, a forgotten file labeled Project Starlink, terminated, gathers dust, and across the stars, a father teaches his daughter how to build a treehouse with her own hands because in the end, she never needed a lab. She just needed love.